the Anyone But Cam Fantasy Football Podcast.
Welcome back to another episode of Season 2 of the Anyone But Cam Fantasy Football Podcast. I am one of your hosts and one of your commissioners. My name is Frankie, and sitting right next to me is Cam. Cam, how's it going?
We're sitting here basking in the glow of Cooper Kupp's god-tier touchdown. Way better than Tyler Lockett's touchdown.
It's a pretty average touchdown.
Which, obviously, we're playing each other tonight. Robert Woods versus Cooper Kupp going on. And it's a good time.
It's a fun thing we're happening here. If you guys can tell, the audio is probably a little different. Got a little bit of echo going on. We're in a bigger room. We are currently on location in the Van Sant Green room instead of in my room. As we're watching Thursday Night Football live, it is halftime. The Rams just scored, as you said. Cooper Kupp touchdown after two good scores for was DK Metcalf and Tyler Lockett earlier in the game, both going for JP's side. So we'll talk about that as we get to it.
We also have a live studio audience today.
Yes. Go ahead.
Yeah, I mean, Jake's going down. I'm gonna go 1-12, but I'm beating Jake this week.
Okay, we'll get to that. We'll get to that match. But until then, let's go over our agenda for the day. We're going to do an update on our hat bets, do a waiver recap. Also, we had a trade this week out of nowhere.
I mean, it wasn't really out of nowhere.
Well, it was kind of out of nowhere. And then we'll go over the winners and losers from last week, do a preview, and then a mailbag. How's it sound to you, Cam?
Sounds like a good time.
Already, bet update. Cameron, the Steelers won a football game.
Whoa. Some said it might never happen again.
Hey, what did the Lions do this week?
We had a moral victory.
How's that?
Well, after the game, all of Lions beat reporters and stuff said there's no such thing as a moral victory in the NFL.
Mm-hmm.
And then there was a poll of Lions fans asking, how do you feel about the direction of this franchise? And it was way up from the week before, so it's maybe Lions fans think there are. But we lost to the Chiefs.
Yeah, I mean, you guys played them well. I watched the second half, I believe, of all that, and you guys' defense held them in check up until you guys looked exhausted because you let Darrell Williams run all over you in the last drive of the game, and Darrell Williams is not a good running back by any means.
But Patrick Mahomes is.
Yeah, well, great quarterback for sure.
No, he's a running back.
Oh, okay.
He ran on 4th and 8.
Well, anyways, the Steelers won a game, and there's a legitimate chance. We host the Ravens this week.
Uh-huh.
The Ravens just got blown up by the Browns. The Browns, who have been a pedestrian offense so far this season. We have a Chubb explosion, which we'll get to. You've got to watch out for those Chubb explosions.
Phrasing.
But we host the Ravens this week. A win this week in Steeler Nation. We then have to play against the Chargers. The Chargers now, the Chargers of 2019 are not the Chargers of 2018. They do have Melvin Gordon back. We'll get to that as well. But there is a world where Steelers are the number one team in the AFC North going to our bye week 7. It's not that implausible.
Well, we'll see what happens there. They do have a pretty easy schedule.
The Lions have the Saints this week, right? Or no, they have a bye and then the Saints after.
No.
Right? No?
Then we play the Packers and the Vikings. We don't play the Saints this year.
Oh, I thought you guys played the Saints. Anyways, Packers and Vikings. Oh, so there's some divisional matchups afterwards. Okay. Well, anyways, I think we spent too much time on this already.
Yeah, she's already kind of dragging along. So we'll move on to waivers. How about that?
Ouch. Waivers. Big ticket item this week. Jordan Howard to Greg, securing that Eagles backfield. Now he has both him and Miles Sanders for $71. He was the hot ticket item this week, which was somewhat surprising to me because I thought that Jalen would be the hot ticket item this week. I was sorely mistaken.
Yeah, so we'll start with Jordan Howard here. Greg bid 71, which was a big brain move because I think the new meta is just bidding $69, which JP did.
Mm-hmm.
So Greg only spent $2 more than required, or I guess $1 more than required to get Jordan Howard.
Yeah.
Great fab play right there. We'll see if Jordan Howard's worth it, but at least he didn't blow a lot of money. Like over here with Jalen Samuels, where only you and I put bids in on him.
Which is insane to me. And the fact, my original bid, I think was like 49 or 45, whatever was $1 more than Logan had because he is the lowest person in the league. I know he spent because I know he spent money on Wink Allman, so still maybe there was a shot he's gonna go for him. But anyways, that was kind of my thought process. But I then right as before deadline bumps up, a little bit, and I'll go all the way up to 52. And I was shocked to see that you were the only person who bet on him. And even just 15 from you, I was like, wow, I don't understand what people saw in Jordan Howard that they didn't see with like what Jalen Samuel can be in the Steelers offense.
I mean, my thought process here, I probably would have bid more if I had fab leverage, but being like the third lowest fab owner in this league, I didn't really want to spend anything on him.
Yeah.
And then what he did against the Cincinnati defense, which is probably the worst run defense in the league this year. And I just don't know if they're going to keep doing that kind of offense for the Steelers.
Yeah.
And so if he keeps that up, he could be pretty solid. I think he'll be someone that will be flexible in the season, but could easily have some just games where they actually are losing and need to pass the ball and won't be using him to do it.
And I get all those concerns. My biggest reason for picking him up was immediately there was injury concern with James Conner, and it's now Thursday, and he didn't practice today as well. So I think that's we are playing against the Ravens defense, which is not the Ravens defense of old this week. And then the Chargers afterwards, not super scared of that front either, just with all the injuries they've had there too. So I think that there's a chance that Conner doesn't even play this week, and I all of a sudden have the running back one for the Steelers.
Which, let's be honest, doesn't mean what it's meant in previous years.
That's true, but look at the rest of my running backs.
Yeah. But moving on, Dylan had recently dropped A.J. Brown and then blew $27 in fab to get him back, dropping Jamal Williams for it. He's putting a finger up.
I did this so I could play him against Jake.
Jake, who bid the second most amount of money on A.J. Brown. So, A.J. Brown's been doing the thing where he's good one week, bad the next, bad another one, then good again. So we'll see if Dylan can get lucky flipping that coin. Based on how the season's been going for him, I wouldn't put money on it, but we'll see what happens.
I mean, I can't dunk on Dylan too badly for it. I also know what it's like to drop a young wide receiver and immediately regret it, as I did pre-week 1 of Hollywood Brown. But yeah, not a great look. And then my only other big takeaway here is that Logan snagged Jimmy Graham for $0 this week, which was like kind of surprising because he was kind of a hot topic in the fantasy community of like a flyer like a tight end streamer this week, and you got him for nothing.
Yeah, I put in a $0 bid too, but just lost on priority.
Yeah.
Oof.
I guess we could also talk about the waivers from today as well. Then, just quickly, I mean, I know you picked up Alden Tate, who was another name in the more like deeper league fantasy kind of thought process that's been going on this week. You got him for $7 because I mean there were 4 bids on him. I bet on him as well with $0 bid because I was surprised he didn't get picked up on Wednesday. So I guess no one really cares for him. I'll try to pick him up. But you got him for $7. How do you feel about that?
Feeling good, especially John Ross going on IR.
Yeah.
I traded away a couple of wide receivers that I've had on my team for a while, so I needed more startable pieces. So I felt good about it. Got rid of the king of the bums, O.J. Howard. I'm free. I hope someone picks him up tomorrow morning and just is stuck with that.
Yeah. Well, let's talk about your trade real quickly then. You acquired George Kittle and Christian Kirk and gave up Marquise Hollywood Brown and Michael Gallup. I don't know. I don't know. I didn't have any questions for this, I guess.
I mean, my thought process here, obviously, I've probably scored the least amount of points this season in the tight end slot, so I need to upgrade that. George Kittle's been underperforming, but got a couple touchdowns called back. Hopefully, we can turn that around.
I think he's at tight end 13 right now.
Yeah.
Even with underperforming.
And he's getting, targets-ish. So we'll just hope it turns around. Maybe the Niners will be down games when they're not actually playing trash teams and actually need to pass more. That could help him. And then also getting Christian Kirk, who... Okay, so I love Hollywood Brown. He's my man. He's nice, $69. And I think there's good things ahead of him in the season. However, he has been underperforming, and I would not be surprised if there are weeks where Lamar Jackson's just off and he has bad weeks. And I didn't want to have both Tyreek Hill and Marquise Brown as 2 wide receivers I'm reliant on because they're both very boom-bust, whereas Christian Kirk gets a lot of targets, not a lot of high point total potential, but usually won't kill your weeks.
Right.
So I feel like that just helps me in a roster construction point. And then Michael Gallup, he's got a lot of upside. The Dallas offense has definitely slowed down these last couple weeks, so I don't know how that'll go for him. But I definitely liked both of the pieces I traded away to Dylan. Just really desperate for a tight end, to be honest.
Yeah, it makes sense. Let's move on to our recap of last week, doing our winners and losers. I got the winners this week, and I'm starting off here with Justin.
Cam, did you hear that?
Fear not flap.
Okay. Anyways, that was weird. As I was saying,
It is all too fitting that Jarvis Landry went off against me. The king of the do not draft list, which was Corey Davis, if we're really looking at it. But he's right below him. And I said many times, not a bad player, but he got all the targets, and OBJ got pretty much nothing. So that was pretty much tilted the entire matchup in his favor. Which I think we highlighted that match last week as well. Other takeaways from that match in terms of Justin's side of the ball is that Hooper had another good week, or a great week actually, and he is now the tight end 2 on the season. So that's just good for him there. And I mentioned a little bit earlier, Darrell Williams, who is just not a good running back by any means. 8 carries for 13 yards. It's just abysmal. Got some receptions through the air in that final drive where Mahomes was taking those underneath routes in that final drive against the Lions, and gets the 2 goal line carries. But those 2 touchdowns were just so defeating to me. And then the only other takeaway from his team this week is that Mark Ingram's going to look to get back on track this week. Has had another bit of a down week here for him. I think he's had 2 good weeks and 2 down weeks so far, and he's playing against the Steelers front, which I think if you looked at the rankings, are a pretty low ranked team against the run, but they have done significantly better in the last 2 weeks. And most of their runs given up against the San Francisco 49ers were in the fourth quarter because they were exhausted from being on the field the entire game. So outside of that, that's pretty much all I got from Justin. I mean, it's 2 weeks in a row as the number 1 scorer on the week, and yeah, it's rough.
Yeah, it was rough for you, especially because you were the number 2 scorer on the week.
It happens.
But came out with the L. It's kind of been Dylan. Oh, he's holding up an L for Frankie.
Dylan, you haven't won a game.
So he knows what a loser looks like. Let's be honest. Sorry. So it's been kind of what you've been seeing for your team this season so far, where Lamar Jackson, Mark Andrews, your flex positions, and kicker and defense all did really well for you.
Yeah.
But then your 2 stud wide receivers, they never.
Lol.
Yeah, they haven't really boomed on the same week, I don't think.
I mean, Juju hasn't moved at all.
Yeah, and we don't know really if that will keep going or not in the future. And then Philip Lindsay obviously is, he's okay.
Yeah. I mean, we talked last week. One of your big concerns about my team going into the week was Devontae Freeman going up against the Tennessee line that's shut down running backs before. I've been the biggest Devontae Freeman truther of them all, and saying that brighter days ahead. Gets pretty much all of his production through the air, but hey, we'll take it.
Yeah, I mean, he got 14 points. Good for him.
Hey, when it comes to my team and running backs, I will take that to the bank.
Yeah.
All right, and then I'll just go to the next winner of the week, which was Jake in the Jake versus Greg matchup here. Some big takeaways from Jake's team is that Jake has Leonard Fournette, and Leonard Fournette 2 weeks in a row is just excellent in fantasy, but so bad at real football. He did absolutely nothing in the first half. Breaks off I think 2 or 3 big runs in this game as opposed to 1 in the last game. Yeah, I don't know what to do with him. Like I said last week, we're definitely going to see a Will Disley snap increase now that Nick Vernett is with the Steelers, which we are seeing currently as we're watching the game, and also last week for 14 points for him and a touchdown. And then my only big takeaway from Jake's team here, because everyone else was some pretty under performances here. I mean, losing John Ross, that's a sizable-ish loss for his team. But the Patriots defense is so OP. It's just ridiculous.
They're looking definitely worth that $35 of fab you spent on them. Playing Washington this week.
Mm-hmm.
Jeez.
And gets the Giants next week.
Oh, boy. But the team that Jake vanquished, as he's an alpha, so he vanquished his opponent this week. That's what we do.
Yeah, you guys have finally started winning games and kind of scoring points. You're almost getting there.
We got the dubs, and that's what matters. But anyways, Greg, not a lot to feel good about on this side of the team. Chris Carson finally didn't fumble and performed pretty well, but Rashad Penny was out for this week, and he was playing at Arizona. So we'll see how it goes when stuff like that isn't going well for him. And then otherwise, his best player was the Bears defense, which, they're solid. And then Mohamed Sanu. And I don't know if Greg wants Mohamed Sanu to do good or not, because then it's just going to make his choice of playing him or Calvin Ridley harder.
Yeah.
Or have to play both of them, which just kind of hurts his upside completely. Greg, stuff's got to change here. Stephon Diggs did good, but now I guess, Dylan, is Stephon Diggs going to get traded?
No.
Well, then Stephon Diggs is going to keep sucking.
Yeah.
Oof.
Let's move on to Dylan's matchup here next then. I have the winner of that match, which is not Dylan. Surprise, surprise. But we have the new owner of the Try Hard Chalice.
It's finally happened.
I have to work harder. I want to excel. I want to be the greatest, so I'll keep on trying until I've got what it takes to do that.
Tyler Walker, you have won the Try Hard Chalice, and I believe you'll be retaining it this week, so you're not playing a Try Hard, if I remember correctly. We'll get to that later. But if you actually look at what happened with Tyler's team last week, it's not amazing. Like, his team is pretty much it was pretty pedestrian for the most part, besides for Chubb's 3 touchdowns. And then T.J. Hawkinson kind of saves his day with a touchdown, but also goes out of the game with a concussion, I believe.
Yeah.
I think he might still be in protocol. I haven't looked at an update on that quite yet.
It's their bye week, so pushing him.
Yeah, and then Mecole Hardman, I felt the pain of that in Dynasty as well. Just not a whole lot here else to love. Anyone who had any decent-ish day on his team scored a touchdown. The only thing I have to say, it's a takeaway from Tyler's team here, is that David Montgomery is really becoming the feature back for Chicago. 21 carries, 53 yards. Not great, but it is a positive trend in that way for Tyler.
Mm-hmm. It's rough for Tyler losing his future flex star Steven Koskowski, but I'm sure he'll be able to bounce back from that.
We'll see.
But then the team that the Alpha Tyler vanquished, Dylan, comes up almost scoring 100 points for the first time this season,
but
0.7 away. And, as per Dylan's usual, he started the wrong quarterback, Daniel Jones, over Aaron Rodgers. Which, if you'll remember last season when Greg had both Matt Ryan and Aaron Rodgers and never started the right one, I'm getting some flashbacks over here.
We used to give an award for that.
What was the award?
The award was the Ben McAdoo Award.
Oh, yeah.
We might want to... Is it appropriate to bring out right now? Does Dylan deserve the Ben McAdoo Award?
I think it's perfect. Dylan, come on down and receive this prestigious honor.
I'm gonna coach this team until I'm told I'm not coaching this team. So, gotta show up. Gonna show up tomorrow morning, ready to go to work.
I wouldn't have won anyways.
Yeah, but you'd have broke 100.
If I set my perfect lineup, I still would have lost.
All right, I don't want to hear it.
Did someone hear victim noises?
I heard something.
No! Sorry.
Don't, please no live reactions to this Thursday night game.
Dylan is currently tilting about how he's going to lose again this week to another Alpha. But otherwise, for Dylan's team last week, DeAndre Hopkins continues to underperform. Everyone in the football fantasy cognoscenti is obviously saying that he'll bounce back. Will probably happen, but it's not going to help Dylan at all. We all know that.
Yeah.
And then, he did good in the special teams department with Matt Gay and Seattle Seahawks, nicknaming Matt Gay Ivy because of the word gay. Clever.
Clever is a strong word.
Sarcasm. But, we'll see if Dylan maybe making some roster moves and trades will help him turn this around. But we'll see. I think we might see a future pattern for Dylan because he lost the league 2 years ago, right?
Yes.
And then won the league.
Yeah.
is this the downswing
If
again?
this pattern continues. All right. Let's go into the next matchup here. I have the winner of Devin versus Lassie, which of course is Devin. Devin, I have in my notes. You have a player in your team. His name is Nelson Ag Omega Lol, but you still won, so it's not that applicable. But just looking at his roster as a whole, for this week, I mean specifically, that's some really low yardage players. Just in general, and pretty much anyone, like there was just a lot of touchdowns that went around this week for him. Kind of really helped his week there. Carry on a good production. That's about it. Max production, you can blame on his injury. He might not even play this week. I don't think he practiced. No, he's limited today, I believe, in practice. But he does have Naeem Hines as his backup, so he could potentially still play him. But I think that's about it I have for Devin's team. A solid enough week, but I don't know. It was just like everything kind of broke his way in the touchdown department, and that's the least reliable stat in fantasy. So.
Yeah, and someone whose stuff didn't really break his way. We have Lassie, who lost to Devin. He started Melvin Gordon after he was on the team for 2 days, and there were reports that he was going to play.
Yeah.
But Lassie dropped like 70 fab on Ronald Jones that week, and he got 14.7 points. I don't know why you just don't play Ronald Jones.
Huh.
And another kind of off-start decision, obviously have hindsight here, but he benched Emmanuel Sanders in favor of starting both Greg Olsen and Delaney Walker. I mean, he's all right.
I think we mentioned that in the last podcast. I was surprised he was benching Emmanuel Sanders, but I actually wanted to bring that up when I was talking earlier. Kind of forgot about Devin's team. So you have an interesting thing here going on with the Denver offense because Devin does have Cortland Sutton, and as Lassie has Emmanuel Sanders, and there are talks of tanking. I believe this is a contract year for Emmanuel Sanders. There's talks of trades potentially. So just a lot of question marks about Emmanuel Sanders, who's had a really stellar start to his season, fantasy-wise at least, and in real football. But there's a lot of question marks popping up for Lassie's side of the ball here.
Yeah, and then one last note for the confusing construction and start sits of Lassie's team. He has 2 players on his team that aren't on an actual NFL team, in Jay Ajayi and C.J. Anderson.
I mean, you picked up Jay Ajayi.
And immediately dropped him when I realized that the report wasn't that the Giants were going to sign him, but that's that they were considering, or that Ajayi was maybe possibly available to come in for a workout. And that's long since passed.
Yeah.
Come on, man.
All right. Let's move on to another player who has another owner who has a player not on an NFL team. Levi, who won versus Logan this week by stat correction, which was shocking.
The curse of the GIF.
Yeah, he barely squeaked out a W this week, and barely continues his streak of the only team who has scored in the top 6 every single week this season. Squeaks out a 6th place this week, but that's good enough. We're gonna see. We've been talking about this for quite a while, quite a few weeks here now. Levi's team and how long the effectiveness of some of these players are gonna last, especially a one Eckler, who we've now seen Melvin Gordon return. Eckler has been maybe not the number 1, but a top 3 dominant back in the NFL so far this season. And it would be a shame. It wouldn't make football sense to not give him a solid amount of carries and production still. But I still think he's going to lose production. That's just kind of how this is going to work. So we have to see how that's going to play out. But I think things are going to break better in Levi's way than expected because Eckler's just been so dominant so far. And then also, we all know, never bench a god. Never bench a god. And if that's I personally think that Levi should have lost this week specifically for doing that. I feel like that's like one of those mortal sins that you can't be forgiven for. But the football god said otherwise.
Maybe his immediate show of remorse, Godwin looked at him as like, I accept this shame.
Yeah,
and
maybe.
Then decided to give him the win. Because Godwin, of course, is capable of giving Levi the win even from the bench. Because, he's on my dynasty team, and I didn't bench him because I'm smart.
Well.
So it's the guy that started the Ravens defense and got -7. Yeah. Anyways, the team that had the heartbreaking loss to Levi, Antifa Logan, I definitely thought he was gonna win with Dak Prescott going up Monday night.
Yeah.
Because he's a quarterback, should score more than 7.262 points after scoring. In at least 22 the 3 weeks prior. Oof. Other takeaways for Logan's team. Devontae sacrificed everything for Logan, literally injuring himself to try and put Logan in this in the position for this to win. But there was just no boom from Logan's team. Like, no one really busted a lot. Trey Burton, you don't really expect a lot from. But besides Wayne Gallman, no one went off for a great game. Him and Devontae Adams, which is what Logan needed in order to beat Levi. And then I feel like Logan's kind of calling card in this league has been the kicker position.
Okay.
He's been carried pretty well by having a solid kicker production.
Sure, like last season.
Yeah, and I think he may be too rose-colored glasses on Kaimi Fairbairn from last season.
He is not staying water.
Currently, the kicker 28 on the season has yet to break 7 points. Logan, I get that you love him, man, but you gotta let him go.
But I picked up Joey Sly in week 2, and he's the kicker 1. You can find these guys on the waivers. I don't know. It's yeah.
Yeah.
You gotta stay water. All right, last matchup of last week. Your matchup, you won versus Jacob Pond, 99 points. You sure did deserve that one, didn't you, huh?
I did what I needed to do.
Well,
to get the win.
All right, well, I'll go with that. Takeaways with your week here. Dalvin Cook got bottled up, as expected, against that Chicago front, but solid protection through the air, gets a touchdown, bails him out. Cooper Kupp is pretty much... Cooper Kupp is a dominant wide receiver in the league in fantasy, but he is your only reliable wide receiver, which is not terrible.
I mean, once Tyreek comes back, that's a pretty dominant duo.
When he comes back. But until then...
Yeah, this week.
I don't think he's playing this week.
Yeah, no, they draw.
And now you've traded away people like Hollywood Brown, who isn't necessarily reliable, but I don't know, just something to keep an eye on here for sure. And my only note for your team is that as you mentioned earlier, the Ravens defense almost ruined your week was it -7?
Yep.
Yeah, that's.
So I would have scored 100 if I literally played the 49ers defense who are on bye.
But you didn't.
Yeah, because I'm stupid. Played myself.
Uh-huh.
But I still won. Because JP lost. And looking at his team, he had a lot invested in the Seattle-Arizona game. Mm-hmm. And the only one that really went well for him was David Johnson.
Yeah.
Which still didn't even go super well because if he had a touchdown, it would have been a super solid game. But then Tyler Lockett and DK Metcalf, Larry Fitzgerald, none of them really doing great for him.
Yeah.
Evan Ingram, I was really scared of going into the week, but he had a unspectacular game for sure. And then Keenan Allen, I was also terrified of, had his by far worst game of the season.
Yeah.
With only 7 points. So I don't think any of that is really a sign of things to come for JP.
Right.
6 of his players had their worst games of the season so far.
Yeah.
That's not going to keep going. So he's going to rebound strong, but at least it won't be against me. Good luck, JP.
Alrighty, and that was it for our recap. Let's now move quickly into our previews. And I have the first matchup this week. We have Levi versus Lassie. Just looking at this, I don't know how Lassie wins this week. He has a lot of really, really strong matchups over here on the Levi side. Some defensive fronts I'm just not afraid of besides for Buffalo and for Derrick Henry, and that's literally it. I'm just not afraid of anything else if I'm Levi here. A lot of opportunity for points. Obviously, we'll see how Eckler's affected, as we mentioned. But yeah, I think that's about it I have on Levi's side here. And then on Lassie's side, speaking of Melvin Gordon, he has him. So this is going to be a head-to-head matchup here, which will be fun to watch. And we actually have 2 head-to matchups because Lassie has Mike Evans and Levi has Chris Godwin. So we have both of those going, seeing as we saw last week with Jarvis Landry versus OBJ, it went very strongly in Justin's favor. We could see the same thing with Godwin and Evans. They haven't both really been feasting in games together. It's kind of been feast or famine, depending on which one's getting the production. But I think, like I said, I think we probably more split for the Chargers backfield. But other than that, I think that's about it. I guess on Lasse's side, he does he's continuing to play that Patriots stack of Edelman and Flash. They do go against Washington this week. So that should be positive, I guess. I don't know.
Yeah,
I don't
it's
know
impossible
I don't know what
predict.
positive game script means for the Patriots offense, but I guess we've only seen positive game script for the Patriots offense.
They literally have yet to trail.
So it's like I don't know. I don't have any other analysis on the Patriots. Sorry.
Yeah, I mean, all Lassie has to hope and pray for is Gordon over Eckler by a lot and Mike Evans over Godwin by a lot.
Yeah.
And even if that happens, I can see Levi easily winning this game still.
Yeah, that's true. And then even it's like when you put it that way, you have like the wide receiver 1 for the team and the perceived running back 1 on both on Lassie's side. But who knows how it's going to go?
Yeah, because they haven't necessarily performed that way.
Right.
But then following that up, we have Jake Logan versus Dylan. So Jake suffers a blow to the heart and soul of his team. His intangibles are gone. John Ross is on IR. I don't know if his team can keep fighting with that kind of morale, just destruction. But we'll see if they pull it together.
I think he has a trump card, but we'll get to it.
Okay, well, I'll see if I can point it out. But looking at their teams, Jake definitely has the better running backs here, and Zeke and Fournette over James Conner and Carlos Hyde. Dylan is offended, but he knows it's right. And then he also has more consistently performing starting wide receivers. DJ Moore and Amari Cooper have been more positive so far this season than DeAndre Hopkins and Adam Thielen, but you really don't know because both Thielen and Hopkins are probably more talented. Anyways. And then once you get to the flex spot, it's pretty sketchy, kind of for both teams. But I think Sony Michel has heard and knows what he needs to do to help give Jake this win. Because obviously there's been a lot of controversy over that.
I mean, you mentioned the name. That's the trump card. It's Sonny Michel. The style points, the swag, the gall it takes to start Sony Michel on a week. You have to give it to Jake.
Yeah, Jake nicknamed him Will Outscore Darren Waller, and he's projected for more points.
Well, we all know projections are never wrong.
Yeah, but then the real trump card for Jake's team, his wide receiver 1, the Patriots defense versus Washington. He's got to be terrified, Dylan does. And then Will Dissly, we're watching the game right now, halfway through the third quarter, already has 10 points. Really wish I picked him up for my team.
Don't we all?
But then Dylan, we talked about it, DeAndre Hopkins, hopefully he'll finally act like DeAndre Hopkins against Atlanta. If there's a secondary to do it against, Atlanta's one of them for sure. And then Dylan will still definitely need help from his other wide receivers. But after this trade, he's definitely got potential for that with Marquise Brown possibly lighting up the Pittsburgh defense. We'll see what happens.
Unlikely.
And then at least both of Dylan's running backs have a floor. You know, Carlos Hyde will get carries, and then James Conner, if he plays, will be used a lot.
Yeah.
But if he doesn't, Tony Pollard. Oh, boy.
Or Alexander Madison.
Honestly, not a bad idea.
Not a terrible idea.
Actually, no, because the narrative that the Vikings will now feed the squeaky wheels and Adam Thielen
Well, they're going to be up 24-0 in the second quarter.
and keep passing it because they don't want to have Diggs hold out.
Gosh.
Yeah, and then lastly for Dylan's team, it's going to be tough to trust Aaron Rodgers. Dallas defense has been super solid, and Dylan is great at picking the wrong quarterback to start, even though he dropped his other quarterback. But I still think maybe he'll get negative, and not starting a quarterback would have been better.
No, I still have Daniel Jones.
Oh, you do? I didn't see his
Yes.
name.
He's a bad
He's at the
matchup.
top. Okay. I think you should have started Daniel Jones against Minnesota. That way, either way, you'll be happy.
No.
There's potential. And he's in no way happy with that too. But speaking of quarterbacks, let's go over to take a look at Tyler's team here. Tyler is currently rostering 3 quarterbacks, and the highest ranking quarterback on his team is Baker, who I think is like the quarterback 14 or something. Which is, or let's see, the quarterback. Oh no, okay, no, he's sorry. He's playing Baker, but he has Stafford, who's the quarterback 13. And he's starting Baker, who has yet to break 16 points in a game this season. And they're playing against a San Francisco D, which has been one of the more solid defenses we've seen so far this season. Just in the NFL in general. Thinking of San Francisco, he also has Chubb to go against that front, which has been very good as well. We'll have to see if T.Y. plays. I think it's trending positive that he'll play this week, but he's going to need that as well. He's going to hope Tyler's hoping for a bounce every from Julio, who did just about nothing next week. And just some more general notes. General note here is that I think we all saw that Monday night game, Steelers versus the Bengals, and we saw just how apathetic AJ Green looked towards that offense and to playing football in general. I do not think that man is in any rush to get back, and I don't know. I'm just not so sure how long it's going to be until we see AJ Green in Tyler's roster.
I just saw that he nicknamed AJ Green 2020 Herbert to Green.
Yeah.
And that might be the first time we see AJ Green back,
Yeah.
let's be honest.
The other side of the ball here, we have Logan's team, Logan's team is maybe the most interesting team I see this week, just because there are so many problems going into this week. And I don't mean that in any kind of mean way. I'm just genuinely curious about how things are going to work out. RB issues. Shady with an ankle injury. I think that's also trending positively. I forgot if I checked there or not. But we'll see about that.
He practiced fully today.
Right. Okay. Le'Veon Bell versus the Eagles. The Eagles have been pretty dominant against running backs so far this season. We're able to shut down elite running back Devontae Freeman. Gallman limited in practice today, I believe, as well.
And obviously, Saquon's going to come back this weekend.
And Saquon's coming back in a week, which is absolutely insane. Also, one more injury thing here. Josh Jacobs, who started on the season with being sick and having a knee issue, cannot find his way off of the injury report, which is just not what you love to see from him at all. Yeah, and then looking over at the wide receiver side, he also has wide receiver issues. Devontae Adams probably not going to play. Demarcus Robinson was pretty that whole receiving core for Kansas City you're just really unsure who the points are going to go to with Tyreek Hill being out still. A-Rob's good to go, which is he's locked and loaded this week for sure. A good start for sure. I'd love to start him this week if I had him.
Because he finally has a good quarterback.
Yeah,
Mediocre, at least.
Good and better. Well, he is a better quarterback, maybe. At least a better game manager for sure. And then my question, the big question for me for Logan's team this week is, if Darnold plays, this has to be the week for Robbie Anderson. He has to start him. We're a third of the way through the regular season of fantasy, and he hasn't started Robbie Anderson. He has to start him. If Darnold's spleen is not put his life in danger by Sunday, he needs to play Robbie Anderson. That's all I'm saying.
Robbie Anderson, what's the most amount of points he scored so far this season?
It's not many.
10. He got 10 one week.
Yeah.
Yeah, you can do that. Let's go. I think the biggest problem here for Logan's team is just kicker matchup. Kyrie Fairbairn versus Will Lutz. Come on. Will Lutz is a machine.
You know, I'll be honest, I didn't even look at the kickers this week on their teams.
But then moving on, real quick, do you want to pause this and get pizza?
Yeah, I can pause the recording. And we're back from a quick dinner break. Can't wait. Oh, go ahead.
Our studio audience has increased.
It's doubled.
Devin, how you feeling?
Yeah.
All right. And speaking of Devin, let's get right into talking about Devin's match here this week, Devin versus Greg.
Oh my goodness gracious. So Devin has Russell Wilson, Todd Gurley, and Jason Myers currently playing. We're pretty much the beginning of the fourth quarter, and Devin already has almost 50 points. Greg has 7.7 from Chris Carson. But, not too much swayed in the win percentage. Good amount. But looking at their team, Devin does have some rough start sit decisions with Detroit on bye,
Right.
starting Aguilar again. Jesus Christ. And then also being forced to start Deontay Johnson, who, did he have more than one catch? Oh, he had 6 catches last week. Dang. He might actually be okay.
We'll see.
Yeah, and then Cortland Sutton's actually been good, so that's solid. But losing Kenny Galladay and Kerryon Johnson for this week, honestly, not the worst week to do it, playing Greg.
Yeah, that was my big takeaway. It's like, wow, there's some pretty bad buys on Devin's side here with the Lions, but like, oh, I guess he's playing Greg, so it's
Yeah.
probably not that big a deal.
The Eagles' defense should be solid for Devin, but I don't know how much the Eagles will need to pass, being playing the Jets, who have no starting quarterback possibly this week. But, you know, we'll hope for the best for him. But Greg has the Eagles running backs versus Devin having the Eagles wide receivers. So maybe if the Eagles are up a lot and they run a bunch, it could turn the tide of this matchup. Jordan Howard, the engine of the Eagles offense last week, much to Devin's chagrin,
Is he
I
starting both of
assume.
them or just Jordan Howard?
Just Jordan Howard,
Okay.
the better one.
Well, that's just factually incorrect.
Sure. He's led the league in
I
rushing.
am so
Frankie.
tired of the slander that I've heard from you, from my boy from Penn State, Miles Sanders.
Yeah, let's just say he's no Saquon Barkley.
Well,
Wow.
oh my Brandon Cooks.
Anyways, then Greg normally has that Cincinnati stack of Tyler Boyd and Joe Mixon, which hasn't been great this season, but they're playing Arizona this week, so maybe it'll actually work out for him.
Yeah.
And then same kind of thing with the Atlanta stack. It's been up and down, but playing Houston, there's a lot of shootout potential in that game. 2 pretty good offenses and suspect defenses.
Yep.
I could see things possibly going Greg's direction this week, but given how this Thursday is going, being really good for Gurley and solid for Russell Wilson, I don't know how I'm feeling for him.
Yeah, not great. I'm just going to move on here now to the Podcast Host Championship Part 2, Frankie's Revenge. That's what we're calling it. At least what I'm calling it. Looking at my roster, Cameron, I have approximately 0 good matchups this week. But that's not a big deal because you have even worse matchups this week.
Let's go.
Get into my team here real quickly. Yeah, I mean, obviously we have the head-to-head right now. Cooper Kupp versus Robert Woods. You got the touchdown falling your way this week so far. There is still time, but we'll see how that works out. My only good matchup I have probably this week is potentially Mark Andrews. The Steelers have been pretty terrible against a tight end so far this season. But, I mean, the defense is much improved the last 2 weeks. So we'll have to see how that works out. Golden Tate coming back will definitely affect Sterling Shepard on my side. I don't really know what I should do with Sterling at this point. I'm putting this out here right now. OBJ needs a bounce back week, or his ass is cut. He's cut. No fire sale. He's gone. He's off my team. Go ahead, Cam.
Are you colluding with the waivers?
No, I'm not. Actually, I gotta talk about your team first. Cameron, you have some rough matchups this week, especially for wide receivers. I think like overall, just looking at our like rosters, you have more star power for sure, but you have the worst matchups overall, so it's kind of fun to see how that's going to work out. Kamara versus Tampa Bay. Tampa Bay has been pretty locked down against running backs so far.
Yeah.
Cook was. I don't know. We'll see. We'll see. I'm really curious to see how this Minnesota offense runs this week post the Kirk Cousins show fiasco.
Where he apologized on his podcast.
Yeah. Other than that, we mentioned a little bit earlier, or I think we into the pre-show, of your decision here with picking up Alden Tate and whether or not you're going to start him.
Yeah, and I said that I will give you autonomy on whether or not I start Auden Tate.
And I will say I will refuse to answer that question.
Okay.
I just think it is an interesting decision here, him versus Matt Breida in your flex. I guess kind of depends on what you think you're going to need here. The thing is, I don't even know if Alden Tate has a safe floor or if he has an upside. I really don't know what to expect from this guy. But I guess what were some of your thoughts on the matchup?
Easy dub. I got kicker
Great.
flex going with 2 kickers that have yet to play a game with their team for the Chargers and the Patriots. We'll see how that goes.
And I have the number 1 kicker on the season.
I picked up the Tampa Bay Buccaneers defense, which could be just a stupid decision again because I'm awful with defenses. But, at least I don't have to start Juju Smith-Schuster.
I might not start him this week. Just putting that out there. I guess my only other bright spot on your side is that you have George Kittle, who, as we said, has been underperforming. This could be the breakout week, and how fitting would it be to be against me? That's all I'm saying.
Dylan has a question.
I have a comment.
Oh, comment.
Oh, God.
I have a declaration,
Okay.
or I have more an announcement. Frankie, when you lose this week, solely because of George Kittle, you have no one to blame but yourself. Because I really wanted to be able to flex George Kittle and Carlos Hyde / Tevin Coleman. But because of your tyranny going rogue, saying, no, you can't put a tight end in the kicker flex spot.
It's not in the Constitution, so you absolutely could have.
It was in the Constitution.
Look it up.
Do you want us to be living our lives where we're just like, is this in the Constitution? It's not explicitly stated, so that means we can do it?
Did you make a change to the Constitution without telling the rest of the league?
No, I don't.
It was in originally.
No,
and then I said, can we change this? And you said no. So when you lose this week, it's because you went against the will of the people
I wanted
that wanted tight end, wide receiver, kicker,
you're
flex.
definitely peeking the mic. This might not show up at all.
We live in a society.
Let's get to the last matchup of the week.
Yeah, the matchup of the week now, with the people voted, because we are a podcast of the people, as previously told with Dylan. Edit that out. Sorry. So,
How is it evenly?
anyways. So, Justin has a bunch of Rams that are playing right now. And it's not going great for him. Jared Goff has 14 points in the fourth quarter, which is not a good quarterback score when you're going up against Patrick Mahomes. And then Brandon Cooks just left the game with 6.1 points. So I don't know if he'll come back, and that's not what Justin needs when he's got Tyler Lockett and DK Metcalf on the other side of the field, who both scored touchdowns already for JP. However, Christian McCaffrey has scored 26 or more points every single week of the season, besides one.
Right.
And him and Ingram need to carry this team for Justin. Pittsburgh currently looks like a good matchup because it's green for Mark Ingram. And then Austin Hooper's been tight end too. Justin's going to need some help here because JP has been one of the best teams in the league. Although Justin also has scored in the top score 2 weeks in a row.
Yes.
Yeah, that's what you said.
Yeah.
If he gets Patrick Mahomes and Keenan Allen back to what they've been doing for the rest of the season, I think he should pretty convincingly be able to win this game. David Johnson versus Cincinnati's worst run defense could be great for him. And then Evan Ingram, the one place that Minnesota's actually been pretty vulnerable is the tight end, which bodes well for him. However, JP going into this Thursday night matchup where we are right now is favored by 85%.
Yep.
But that's not going to stay because Justin's my upset of the week.
I'm upset. I'm upset.
Louder!
I'm upset.
Louder!
I'm upset.
Say it louder!
I'm upset.
All right. There it is.
Yeah.
Stick to the last matchup, but yeah, I mean, you have a strong case for this upset for sure. Yeah, it's a matchup. I voted for it to be matchup of the week as well. So far, things have really broken in JP's way, but it still should be exciting, I think.
I really wish Justin started Jameis Winston instead of Jared Goff.
Yeah, Jameis Winston versus the Saints. Yeah,
Just for the upside.
Yeah.
I feel like Goff hasn't had that boom week, whereas Jameis could tank his week for sure, but
right.
could win him for him.
Yeah. All right. And I think that's everything.
Yep.
I think Dylan's had more than enough say on this podcast, so we're gonna
There's
skip.
no Q&A?
No, absolutely. Unless Devin has something to say. Thank you, Devin. Thank you so much for listening.
Wait, we had a mailbag question.
Dylan has had more than enough say on this podcast.
I mean, I just saw it. I haven't seen it before. But it's Dylan asking, how smug does Cam feel about picking a winless team to lose as his upset of the week? Which was, I'm assuming, when I picked Dylan to lose to Who Dylan lose to?
Tyler.
Tyler last week. Oh, yes, because alpha bias. And I just want you to know, that was probably the first time I was actually right with an upset of the week pick, so I'm feeling pretty good about it.
And with that said, thanks so much for listening to another episode of the Anyone But Cam Fantasy Football Podcast. I have been Frankie.
I'm Cam, and thanks to our live studio audience here, the D's.
And we'll catch you all next week with a recap of Week 5. And look forward to Week 6. We'll see you then.
Yeah, and after I beat Frankie. Oh, God. He didn't catch that.
He so caught it. We're keeping this in. He caught that.
We just saw Robert Woods possibly catch a touchdown, but his feet definitely left the ground before he caught it.
1 foot.
Out of bounds.
Stop the recording.
It's better be lucky than good.
Stop the recording.